championship leader and yesterday's winner, Joseph Newgarden, in the Hitachi Chevrolet, the black and white machine. The yellow and blue Napa Honda of Alexander Rossi right alongside, ready to go. Power's out of line early. Let's go racing in Detroit on Belle Isle. Superstar Newgarden, but Rossi on the inside. That was close.
Colton Herta and Zach Veach trying to sort their way out, and there's James Hinchcliffe working the outside of turn 2 with a great run. Here comes Dixon.
Dixon had a nice exit over to the bridge. He was sideways, but he's got a run on Hinch, but Hinches has him on the outside.
The orange and blue Honda, there it is there. That's Dixon. Oh, there was contact in the middle. Rosenquist, around goes Pato O'Ward. And a big contact head on with one of the ABC cars, one of the AJ Foyt Chevrolets. I think it's Tony Kanaan. And Chilton gets through. Kanaan's teammate Lace in the car. And Simon Pagenaud, the Indy 500 champ, is in that.
Oh, this is bad news for Pagenaud's run. He's had so much good fortune in the last month, and it all comes to a screeching halt on the streets of Detroit.
Well, we'll have to see if Pagenaud can get restarted. It looks like Kanaan will be done. I'm guessing O'Ward has too much damage, but for Simon Pagenaud, there's a flat left rear.
Looks
that
like
much
he got
we know.
Booted in the rear and somebody flattened the tire, but I don't think he's got any damage on the front suspension.
Let's see how this all starts. You got Bourdais shooting up the inside, but further back, I think that's Simon Pagenaud making a lunge on Marcus Ericsson, and then Rosenquist and Power and all of these guys get together.
Yeah, Pagenaud ran into the back of his teammate Power, and then Kanaan came in there and drop kicked Pagenaud and flattened the rim. So it all kind of really started from Simon kind of stuffing it down the inside and trying to make a big inside move here.
This is from Chilton.
I think Pagenaud would have been all right, but then things sort of checked up and guys got together, and that's what happens when a camera hits the gearbox.
Slick move there by Hunter Ray. He slices and dices through there.
But so when Power checked up, that sort of caused Ericsson and they got into a Ward, and then Pagenaud tried to slow down, but Kanaan was coming through and got into the back of Pagenaud. So just the accordion effect is tough to really single out anybody in that situation.
How about Rosenquist? He was bicycling it. He was up on 2 wheels. Here's the view. This is Felix Rosenquist. Look to the right. There's Will Power up.
Oh, yeah, Will Power got into the side of him, rode over his wheel. Will Power stalled. He's in anti-stall mode, gets it going.
Wow, how much can change in a week? Simon Pagenaud won the biggest race there is in the world, the Indy 500 this week. He is caught up in a lap 1, turn 3 incident. It is not a beautiful story or situation for Will Power. This is incredible. We documented this for you at the top of the broadcast, just his string of bad luck, and it continues. Let's get down to Marty Snyder.
Nope. Lee, he said the car just died, and you can see him motioning in the car there. He just wants a jump to be able to get back to pit road, but for Will Power, he said the car just completely died on him. Meanwhile, his teammate Simon Pagenaud has come back in the garage area, leaving his helmet on. Simon, what happened here?
I'm going for the gap there, but it stopped, and then I got hit in the back like 3 times. So I think we got slight damage. I couldn't select the gears right there. I get really hit bad. And that damaged the gear sensor, so I couldn't select the gears to leave again, but the car doesn't have much damage. So we're going to fix it, and we'll get back in the race.
There you go. So that's why he's leaving his helmet on here in the garage area, because they think they can get this fixed quickly. It's a gear sensor issue for the Indy 500 winner. In fact, he's watching that replay one more time, and that's why he's leaving the helmet on, Lee, because he thinks once they get that repaired, which should take just a few minutes, he'll be able to hop back in and get it back in the race.
Considering Power got hit in the back the same way, I'm wondering if he's stuck in maybe like 5th gear or something, because he took off very slow and now it's running again.
Let's go racing in Detroit. Dixon at the front and gets a beautiful restart over Spencer Pigot.
Will Power did not catch the back of the field. He's about 10-12 seconds behind this group as we're back to green. Nice start by Dixon, nice gap.
Dixon's got the softer tires. They should be good on the start, but the question is again, for how long, as Newgarden to the outside of Max Chilton. What a slick move.
Nice move, but now Rossi has to respond. He's got to follow Newgarden and stay in touch.
Further in the pack to Kumasato, Zach Veach, his teammate Ryan Hunter-Reay up front. First is Scott Dixon, Spencer Pigot, Santino Ferrucci, Graham Rahal, then Joseph Newgarden running in 5th. The first car that has stopped in this race.
Looked like Marco Andretti was going to have a peek on his teammate, and he made the pass. That is a bold move on Ryan Hunter-Reay. Hunter-Reay in the yellow car, and we ride on board with Andretti. I think Hunter-Reay might try to come back on him now. Nope. Marco, what a bold pass.
Oh, big sideways on the power. Tires still coming up to temp. He is on blacks now, but here we are with Dixon and Piggott running in second.
Watch this. We ride on board with Ryan Hunter-Reay setting up for the back straightaway, but whoop, there's Marco Andretti, luckily with that pink Auto Nation end fence, so Newgarden can see him, or sorry, Hunter-Reay can see him coming through.
With Scott Dixon, race leader, and Spencer Piggott on those softer compound red tires, they've just fallen off a cliff in racing terms. The tires have gone away, and those on the harder compound tire primary, like Santino Ferrucci and Graham Rahal, are now first and second. Check this out.
Scott Dixon has lost 4 seconds of pace over 1 lap in 2 laps. It's all fallen off a cliff as Ferrucci moves up the inside quite easily. Further back, you see cars, that's Rossi and Newgarden splitting Spencer Piggott, who's also on reds.
Spencer Piggott cost Rossi a lot of time, but this was a perfectly executed pass by the 21-year-old.
And for Scott Dixon, that's going to force him to a 3-stop strategy, and all these guys that pitted under yellow on lap 2 are sitting pretty, and there it goes all wrong for Piggott.
Spencer Piggott into the wall.
Yellow.
Scott Dixon on pit road.
Did he make it in time, though?
He did make it in time, PT. He fell from 1st to 6th to Townsend's point, and they are on pit road clean for Scott Dixon. They take those red tires off. You see the damage on the racetrack. Dixon leaving pit road with the primary tires. He said, like you guys said, when they went away quick, and there's the damage on the racetrack. So this caution could wind up benefiting Scott Dixon.
I'll bet what might have happened was that Piggott was trying to get to pit road, and Bourdais got into the back of him. Piggott got into the attenuators. You see the damage, the wing that Bourdais is dragging with his right front.
Stuck under his front wheel, and it'll be impossible for him to make a turn. He should try and weave back and forth to get that thing to come out from under the tire, but we get a replay
see how
right
this all
here.
went
Let's
wrong.
see what happens. Yeah, he's making the move on the front straight at the pit entry. Piggott was probably coming in, got on the brakes, and Bourdais nails him, and it just goes flying in the air like a plane.
Thank goodness for the attenuator that's now mandatory on, or sorry, the retention cable on the front wing, or that would have taken out somebody. That whole nose cone would have gone back into the field. Let's take a look at Bourdais launching it, Supercross style.
Yeah, I don't put any blame on Piggott. He made the commitment to come in the pits, and you got to get on the brakes at some point. Bourdais had a run and was going for it and kind of committed to the inside, and then that was it.
Bourdais just didn't have any idea. I mean, I can't put blame on anybody there.
It's a couple of Hondas at the front of the pack, but Ferrucci has gone.
Nice restart, got on it, a little bit sideways, but Rahal right there, a car locking up right there. I believe that was Veach locked up a little bit as he gets a run.
I think it was Rosenquist almost got in the back of Colton Herta going into turn 1 as Alexander Rossi in that blue and yellow car is charging on Newgarden. And here comes Zach Veach in the black and yellow car.
Pato Award back on track. Right there got passed by Veach. These guys got to run as hard as they can because you don't want to put those reds on for too long. They're going to have to time that stop, guys, till the last 10 laps because basically after lap 10, those things just fall off the face of the earth in terms of performance. And oh, something's going on back there. Pass on the back straightaway.
That's Will Power on reds. Will Power on fresh reds. Knows he has to make them work. And look at Sato.
Takuma Sato on the inside of Marcus Ericsson. The silver Verizon car there is Will Power. There's Sato, finished on the podium yesterday. On board with Ryan Hunter-Reay.
Power's on reds. He's going to be in a world of hurt in about 10 or 12 laps when those things go off. Everybody else right now on blacks.
But in the meantime, Power's going to make everything he can out of those softer red tires because they are faster right now. That's the tire you qualified on.
Think about this. Dixon was up front controlling the pace, trying to go easy on them. This guy's driving the wheels off the car right now. He could wear those things out in 6 laps.
Well, they're going to get worn out for sure.
Santino Ferrucci, the only one in the race who is yet to pit.
I think Hinchcliffe's going to come out in the lead in this deal, or Santino. Santino's got a nice gap right now, and with a clean pit stop, Either of these two guys could still cycle to the front.
He's got 25 seconds, he being Santino Ferrucci, 25 seconds over Graham Rahal, 26.5 over Newgarden.
And it's about 23, 24 seconds lost on pit lane, depending on how fast the pit stop is. Ferrucci just continues to stretch this run.
His engineer said,
all right, and now we will find out if, in fact, Paul Tracy is correct, if Hinchcliffe will retain the lead. They're going to try to get a half a turn of front wing if they have time. Oh, they had to hold the gun just for a moment. That slowed Hinchcliffe just a little while. They cleared the gun, but it's A-OK. Let's see how he bleeds out.
It's going to be tight because Joseph Newgarden and Alexander Rossi are here, right here.
They're going to blow by Hinchcliffe, I think, going to turn 3, if not before.
Cuts him right off. He cut him right off on the exit, but now he's got to hold the back.
He'll hold that inside line down into turn 3. Rossi to the inside, Newgarden to the inside.
How did Rossi avoid? Oh, what
Rossi
a brilliant
keeps
job.
going. Unbelievable stuff.
Brilliant job from Rossi to keep it going.
The championship leader is in the wall.
This hurts Santino, full course caution, and he hasn't pitted yet.
Look at Newgarden, he is furious.
Oh man, Rossi eliminates 2 of his competition with 1 move without hitting anybody. That was Hinchcliffe on cold tires trying to force it down in there.
It was all set up on the pit exit. When Hinchcliffe came out, he went straight for the race line, and then the 2 cars behind on hot tires at speed dove in there.
Newgarden signaling, push me back, but it's going to take
done.
a while because those are fit together like a puzzle piece.
Suspension arm right here is bent. I just saw on the camera angle. If we get that camera angle back, his suspension is bent. And this is a disaster now for the championship leader. These cars are interlocked now. It's going to be tough to get them apart.
This also really helps Scott Dixon. He might be able to make it on just 1 more stop,
right here,
depending on how long the yellow is.
Look at that. Suspension arm is bent right there. So that's going to cause
game
him
over.
Game over, or change that, which is going to take multiple laps.
So let's go back to the stop and the release. James Hinchcliffe, left of your screen, exiting pit lane. Here comes Graham Rahal. He's through, no worries. But Hinchcliffe out there, and he knows the challenge is coming and wants to get that position. And then it's on.
Once you clear the white line of the pit lane exit, you can go right into the line, and he did. And Rossi saw the opportunity, but he backed out. So really, Newgarden loses it right there. They all kind of lose it.
Everybody. Actually, Hinchcliffe was the most under control. Take back what I said earlier, because Newgarden spins and Rossi does a brilliant job as we ride on board with Hinch.
Yeah, I don't really put any blame on Rossi at all. He backed out of it, but he still lost control of the rear of the car. Newgarden just got in there super deep and lost the rear on the brakes. Right there, he's sideways.
If anything, Rossi pushed Hinchcliffe into Newgarden when the rear hit Hinchcliffe.
Hinchcliffe would have been able to keep going, but he got slammed into Joseph Newgarden.
Rosenquist slides through there.
Yes! Yes!
That's Felix Rosenquist's team, the NTT Data guys, and the championship leader cannot believe it. Newgarden out of his car and out of the race.
High drama in Detroit Rock City.
Newgarden still thinks his car's okay and he can get it back, but I don't think he saw what you saw, Paul, in the right front suspension. Look at, he's still negotiating, Newgarden is, with the AMR safety team. And now Ferrucci has to pit under yellow and he'll go to the back of the line.
This really hurt him, because if he'd have come in, I think he'd have still retained the lead. This yellow really cost him.
And guess who's at the top? Scott Dixon. Great start to this race.
Wild race.
And led 13 laps, and now he finds himself back up the top of the order. And we're into the second half of this Chevrolet Detroit Grand Prix. Let's go. Scott Dixon, the 5-time and reigning series champ, at the front.
Prime opportunity, Townsend, for Dixon to capitalize on Newgarden's misfortune, scrape back up in the points.
Well, everybody will be looking to make it to at least about lap 45 before they make their last stop. Scott Dixon looking to hold on, and more drama down here in 3 as Rosenquist looks inside Bourdais.
See that neon yellow car there of Sebastian Bourdais? give credit to Dale Coyne, Vassar Sullivan Racing, and Craig Hampson, his engineer, and the crew. The damage on the front after hitting Spencer Pigot, they kept him on the lead lap. He had to cycle around without any front wing assembly. And here he is, Seabass is sitting 7th. The race leader Will Power's in, Marty.
Yeah, he'd had enough of that run. He comes in. It's going to be primary Firestone tires here, Speedway Fuel. I did check in with Ed Jones' team. They're obviously short, but they can go, they think, till about lap 60, so about another 11 laps for Ed Jones, who's currently sitting in 4th position, but Will Power, the leader, comes to pit road and gives up the lead.
Here's the blend. Look at this battle for position. This is just like what we saw with Newgarden and Rossi. This time it's Power blending with Sato and Hunter Ray.
Power takes the inside line. Sato goes to the left like Joseph Newgarden said he should, and he's going to lose a position because Hunter Ray's been able to go up the inside.
Perfect job of the over-under by Ryan Hunter-Ray, and now he's going to attack Power at the next corner. The uphill, breaking into over the bridge here, but he lost a little ground, and Rossi slices down the inside of Sato.
Sato loses 3 positions in 3 corners.
Hunter-Ray's got to run on Power. Will he go inside or outside?
Here comes a hungry Marco Andretti on the backstretch.
Look at these two guys side by side. Power will hang on.
Power has come all the way from the back now up to 4th place.
Hey, Jan, I chatted with Felix Rosenquist coming into the weekend. He said, you know what, I was just happy to have the Indy 500 behind me. Remember that had that crash, did not run well in the race either. He said, but that experience is going to help me next week when we go to the very fast high banks at Texas Motor Speedway. And finishing 4th yesterday, James Hinchcliffe stopped on the track, Lee.
Wow. This was shaping up to be such a good day for James Hinchcliffe, and he was caught up in that incident with Joseph Newgarden, the championship leader. Newgarden is out of the race. And Alexander Rossi, what has happened this time to the Arrow Honda driver?
Huge for Will Power, Paul. This is going to give angry fast Will Power a restart if this goes yellow.
And a chance to win.
It'll close up the gap.
So, Joseph Newgarden is back in the Hitachi Chevrolet, not out of the race. The team got it fixed. He's back in the race. So that's 2 cars at Team Penske that the captain's men have fixed today. Awesome team effort. Simon Pagenaud was the first, and now Joseph Newgarden, championship leader, is back out. Here's what happened to Hinchcliffe. Have a listen.
No power, just off song, not going anywhere, so.
Dead.
So I don't know what he's looking for to get a tow. It's a long way back to the pits from where he is to get a flat tow all the way back there. That was very odd for the motor to just shut off on its own.
Kind of surprised to see them send Newgarden out because he's 21 laps down and there's only 15 laps left in the race.
He might go head hunting for somebody.
Marcus Ericsson has one big problem, and his name is Will Power, because he is going to be right on the tail of Ericsson. Dixon sitting pretty on push to pass, 73 seconds. Ericsson 40, Power 28 left.
Marcus Ericsson has done almost 100 Formula One Grand Prix. I promise you, he has never been in a situation like this, where he's in between 2 champions, 2 Indy 500 winners. He is suddenly in the big time of IndyCar. Ready to go. Dixon's on the gas early. Let's go back to racing. 12 laps to go. Make it 11 this time by. Can Ericsson get his first podium? Power's coming, so too Ryan Hunter-Ray.
And in those first 6 cars, Lee, I had to check, there are 5 Indy 500 winners going all the way back to Takuma Sato. This is the heavyweight field of IndyCar.
Ericsson's had some speed this year, but he's made mistakes. He's been in the tire barrier, he's had crashes. Sato down the inside makes contact with Rossi.
Rosenquist.
This is going to be trouble here.
No. Rosenquist and Sato came together yesterday, and Rosenquist said, I really respect Sato, but he put some questionable moves on me, so the Swedish rookie was not going to stand for it there.
And Marco Andretti made a great move on Rosenquist. Marco Andretti up to 6.
Wow. These guys are getting wild on this restart, but up front, it's still Dixon has a nice gap of 1 second he's built up in a half a lap. Bourdais down the inside of Sato.
Everybody going for it.
I wonder if Sato got a flat tire. He's really off the pace now after making that move.
He has just been beaten up. They've come from everywhere to get Sato.
This will be a big finish for Ericsson if he can hang on. He's got a 2-second gap now on Will Power, and this will be his best finish of his career for a guy who's been struggling so far this year to find the results.
Well, he had a great run at Barber in Birmingham, Alabama. He was 7th. That's his best finish. He was running, him being Marcus Ericsson, was running in the top 10 all day long last weekend at the Indy 500. And he just pushed it a little too hard on pit entry, and the downshift caught him out. He spun and crashed into the pit wall, and that was it. But Ericsson is getting better every time out. Here he is.
And Marty, I think you talked to Rosenquist yesterday about whether or not he liked this rough and tumble track in Detroit, and his face lit up. He said he loves this place.
He does love this track, Townsend, and you would think for the young rookie, remember at St. Pete at the beginning of the year, he said he was sore after that race because it was his first street course race in an IndyCar, and for him, really the big thing has been the ovals. Texas next week will be a challenge, but to me, the big thing, the recovery from the Indianapolis 500, a miserable month of May, and here he is 4th, running in the top 10 right now, finished 4th yesterday. Going to be a good weekend for Felix Rosenquist.
Watching his lap times, Ericsson dished at a 16.5, Power 16.4, Dixon 16.5. They're all running about the same pace.
Scott Dixon, this will be a huge Sunday for him. Oh, got a problem. There's his teammate, Scott Dixon, with a big crash at turn 1.
Rosenquist, we were just talking about him. What has happened?
That's a big one.
He was running in that pack in the top 10, having a good day, grabbing more points, and it's over in spectacular fashion.
And we're going to end up now with a green-white checker shootout if they can get this cleaned up. And Scott Dixon has got to be careful that nobody attacks him on the restart.
But it's a safety team's right there, and I think they're hurrying. They think Rosenquist is just fine, and the red flag comes out. So IndyCar going to hold things up and make sure we finish under green, and that car is destroyed. And that's not the first crash for Rosenquist this season.
He was in it last weekend at the Indy 500. He was in a big one.
He's going to be on some thin ice now. There was so much hype about him coming into this season, how fast he is, but he's had a lot of crashes so far. And here's the replay.
You can see the steering's bent. Look at that.
Yep.
He's already hit a wall.
Oh,
so
yeah. Big
Rosenquist.
crash. Oh. So he's brushed a wall and bent the toe link, and then in the brake zone, he just lost it.
Wow. And Graham Rahal, terrific reaction to avoid contact there with Rosenquist because he was right behind him.
Okay, look here. If we pause it right there, look at his steering. He's already hit the wall, and the left rear toe link is definitely bent. That steering wheel should be straight across. Instead, it's angled, and he just absolutely loses it. That's a driver that's made a small mistake and trying to hang on for a result. Oh, Dixon checking him up there.
Looking in the mirror. They've come out of turn 11. This is up to turn 12 on the 14-turn circuit. Look at Ericsson. He doesn't want to let Dixon get away. He's got to go with him right now.
Power's right there on the back of Ericsson. Ericsson got checked up. Look at Power.
Brilliant restart once again from Scott Dixon. This is Power's best chance, I think. Trying to cross over a little bit and get a run down to turn 3.
Power's close. He's going to be on the push to pass.
Not close
enough. Well done, Marcus Ericsson.
Good job here, bud. Awesome job. Focus forward.
Able to get through that restart. Alexander Rossi looks at his teammate.
Getting coached all the way around. Ericsson's getting his spotters telling him good restart.
Spotter sounded pretty excited, like he felt that was Power's only chance. Ericsson stretching a little bit of gap as they come to the back straight. Look at this battle with Marco, Hunter-Reay, and Rossi, all teammates going at it.
All teammates battling each other. They don't want to bang wheels, but Rossi wants every position he can possibly get for the championship. Dixon has recovered big time today. He was 100 points behind. Now
52.
Only 52.
2.5 laps remain here on Belle Isle, Detroit.
Rossi looking.
Rossi has to be smart about points, though.
Oh,
Rossi sits second.
He got on the power hard. Look.
Now be active.
3 teammates in a row.
Hold the straight here for the rest of the race. 2 to go. Coming in 2 to
Alexander
go here.
Rossi.
Awesome job, bud. Focus
Marco
forward here.
Andretti.
Ericsson is clear. He's got a 1 second gap over Will Power. Will Power is clear. The battle right now is Rossi and his teammate Hunter-Reay.
Colton Herta under attack from Santino Ferrucci back there. They're side by side. Ferrucci makes the move, and here comes Pato Award.
The three rookies trying to fight for Rookie of the Year honors, but Ericsson is way up front and going to score a podium. Who's another rookie?
Former teammates here, Colton Herta, Pato Award. They drove for Andretti Autosport last year in the Indy Lights Series. Award coming away with the championship.
These three guys right here are the future of IndyCar, the future stars of the sport. And Pato Award goes for the outside on his ex-teammate from Indy Lights.
First, second,
Let's see how they
third.
come out. There's Veach, there's Bourdais. It was side by side into turn 8. Back up front. Hunter Ray continues to hold off Rossi, but Rossi's looking strong on this closing lap. They'll have the white flag.
Pato Award got by Colton Herta at the end of the back straightaway. Now
White
he's
flag,
chasing
one to
down
go.
Ferrucci.
Let's focus
One
forward.
more
Bring it
lap to
home
go
here.
for the champion, Scott Dixon.
What a day for Scott Dixon. If you were with us earlier in the broadcast, a massive honor bestowed on Scott. He found out that he has been made a companion of the New Zealand Order of Merit in the Queen's Birthday Honours. That is a massive, massive thing for the Kiwi, and he carries that proudly. Robert Miller spoke to him about it at the beginning of the broadcast. He's one of New Zealand's most famous and successful sports people. He's a 5-time IndyCar champion. He's on his way to his 3rd victory here on the streets of Detroit, and a massive rebound from yesterday's self-inflicted crash. So unusual to see Scott do that. But as his team boss, Chip Ganassi, told us on the grid pre-race, Scott is unbelievably strong psychologically. He had already demonstrated that he had forgotten about that. He had wiped that from his mind, and he was focusing forward to this race today, where he has been unbelievably strong. He's led 43 laps. The checkered flag is there for Dixon in Detroit. He wins race 2 of this duel in Detroit for his 3rd win here.
Yeah! Good job. Thank you, guys. Girls, thank you very much. That was awesome.
A crash to victory lane. A day apart.
There you go.
And a massive contrast. An incredible comeback for Scott Dixon.
It's so Scott Dixon-like of Scott to win this race after yesterday crashing out, his first crash on his own since 2014. And how does he rebound with a win here in Detroit? And where was his first win last year in 2018? Detroit. What did he do? Go on and win the championship, and here he is in 2019 winning the first race for him and the number 9 team after a terrific start to the season. Scott Dixon is in victory lane. How about that? There's a lot going on in that race, from fuel saving, from the tires falling off early for you, but I want to talk about those final few restarts. How did you hold those guys behind you?
Yeah, it was just most of it was just trying to keep track temp, or temp in the tires. It was just such a tricky situation, especially on the blacks. When they had a few laps on, it just seems like it picks up the concrete. But I can't thank the PNC Bank crew enough. Rough day yesterday. I had a pretty good headache today, and my wrist was pretty sore after that one. But I just drove the wheels off it, and they did all the strategy, and the strategy is what nailed it. So I can't believe that we ended up here today, and it's fantastic, fantastic.
When you wreck on your own like that, which you never do, or are you more determined today to get this team to victory lane?
Yeah, you are. We still missed in qualifying a little bit today. We weren't the quickest car, which we were definitely frustrated about. But I'm just happy, for Honda, for PNC. PNC built Demtex here today, which is fantastic too, and we went to Detroit. It's awesome.
Watch the DXC Technology 600, Saturday, June 8th at 8 p.m. on NBCSN.